The Boston Celtics come out on top over the New York Knicks 104-102, courtesy of a Jayson Tatum buzzer beater. We'll call it a buzzer beater. There was 1 second left on the clock. I'm Sierra Goodwill here with Josue Pavone and Jimmy Toscano. Guys, another slow start for the Celtics before we jump into that crazy fourth quarter. This has been a reoccurring theme. Brad Stevens says he doesn't quite know why it's happening, but if they're coming out on top at the end of the game, he said he'll take it. At this point in time, it's still a small sample size, but what do you think is going into these kind of lethargic opening couple minutes?
I think it's just them adjusting, I just think they've faced a lot of different kind of teams, especially this New York Knicks team. You talk about a team that they just faced last weekend. Of course, there were adjustments made. Brad Stevens also talked about what they did with Mitchell Robinson and how effective he was on the defensive end of the floor. So I just think those first 12 minutes, even half of the second quarter, it takes them a little while to adjust, but once they're in it. And you look at guys who are playing 35-plus minutes, Walker, Smart, the Team USA 4, that helps in the sense of saving that little burst of energy that they have in the fourth quarter or in the second half. I think it plays a big part. And I think Brad talked about when Jaylen Brown eventually does come back, he wants to put those minutes down a bit, but in the meantime, it's working. And those 4 guys have been so important for this team, or 3 guys minus Jaylen Brown have been so important these last 2 outings.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has a real answer for it. I just think that it's early in the season. This is a new team. When one of your best players is completely new to the team in Kemba Walker, there's a little bit of a feeling out, despite the fact that they did play together over the summer and they've had preseason and all that. There's still that feeling out stage, and I think also, while you can call Kemba a superstar and you can call Hayward and those guys superstars, there's not like a bona fide like LeBron James or a Kyrie. There's somebody who's really going to get them all going, like a burst of 10 points right off the bat. So they don't necessarily need to come out to these crazy fast starts. They just need to keep it close, play defense, and let their defense turn into offense.
Let's talk about Kemba Walker. He had 33 points against the Knicks on Friday night, and that's his 3rd straight game with over 30 points. How clutch is it to have someone like that? He might not be a superstar. He might not be a top 10 player in the league.
Whoa.
But
hold on.
Maybe not top 10, but all right.
Right.
All right.
15, 20 for now.
The debate's out there.
The UConn bump, we'll put him to 15.
I'll always give him the UConn bump. But in the fourth quarter, when he has the ball in his hands, you feel pretty good about it. How important is it to have someone not only like that, because they did with Kyrie, but now it's someone that the team wants to see score the ball.
Yeah, and he's also not keeping that ball, for 12 seconds, the last starting point guard. Yeah, he's watching the clock. He's getting everyone involved, and I think he's picking his spots. Like in New York was different. That was sort of like take over Kemba at MSG back home. The Bronx native, of course, went off. But in this game, it was a little different. He went about his approach to getting those 30-plus points was a bit different. He got everyone else involved, and of course, he wasn't the guy that they had to lean on in that final minute. It was somebody else. So that's the kind of DNA, or that's the kind of identity you want to see from this team. You're not necessarily sure who's going to go out there and who's going to put the team on their back, but you know that Kemba Walker is due, or at least going to be most nights scoring above 20 points, and right now he's been scoring above 30. So that's how focused he is.
Yeah, and I think he's really good at picking his spots. He's not a shot chucker. He's not a Carmelo, one of those guys. When he's feeling it, when he thinks he's got a good shot, he'll take it. When he sees somebody else that has a hot hand, it was pretty obvious early on that Tatum had a hot hand tonight. He was hitting the shots. He was the team's best scorer to start the game. He was the only one hitting the three-pointer shot to start the game. So I think Kemba knew that he had options tonight. So he didn't have to be, Madison Square Garden Kemba. He could distribute. He could, watch other guys take a shot and be fine with that. And it turned out that was the difference. But you absolutely need a guy like him that can score in bunches, that can take over a game, but has to know when and where. And, there's a time and a place.
Yeah, plus he gets to the free throw line. I think that's going to be big.
That's what I wanted to say, and I forgot to.
That's a big part of his game, and I think it's going to, really carry him to those performances, those 20-point performances, or 25-plus, 30-plus. Getting to the free throw line is so important for him, and he's been nailing it. And also, he's been making a lot of threes. I think that's something that's always been a little overlooked. He's throughout this last 3-game stretch, he's shooting about 43%. That's huge. That's huge for this team. Outside shooting is very important for this team. One of the concerns going into it, but right now it's looking pretty good.
This edition of the Garden Report is brought to you by Keeps. 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35. The good news, with today's advancements in science, Keeps offers proven treatment that can combat the symptoms of hair loss. Keeps has revolutionized the way men are treated for hair loss. You used to have to go to the doctor's office for hair loss prescriptions, but now, thanks to Keeps, you can visit a doctor online and get medication delivered to your home. No more waiting rooms, no more pharmacy checkout lines. Get doctor attention and discreet drug delivery, all from the comfort and privacy of your own home. Keeps' treatment really works, okay? They are up to 90% effective at reducing and stopping further hair loss. The sooner you start using Keeps, the more hair you'll save. So act fast. Many men have even experienced hair regrowth with Keeps' treatments. And if you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/garden to receive your first month of hair loss treatment absolutely free. That's KEEPS/garden. That's keeps.com/garden.
Through the first 5 games of the Celtics season, Jayson Tatum has looked extremely aggressive and comfortable on the offensive end. I'm Sierra Goodwill here with Josue Pavone and Jimmy Toscano. What's up, guys?
Jimmy? What's good?
Yeah, what up, dudes?
So before this season, Jayson Tatum had only taken more than 22 shots in a game twice in his NBA career. He's now already done that in 3 out of the 5 games this season.
Stat alert.
Clearly,
That's a good stat.
Yeah, clearly.
That is you were holding on to that one.
It was up here.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, Sierra.
For a
Okay, I
while.
love
Off
that
the top.
It shows a lot about this team, and it shows a lot about what he wasn't able to do last year, how many more touches he's getting this year, and how much more of an unselfish point guard Kemba Walker is. But first of all, let's talk about how Jayson Tatum has looked offensively.
He's looked great. He's looked confident. He's looking like someone who's just ready to make that stride. We all talked about his shot charts throughout the first 4 games. You know, everyone's keeping a close eye on how many mid-range jump shots he's taking, and he's been doing what people want to see, either the 3 or going straight to the hoop. Now, what I love the most about this game, obviously, is the game winner, but also he did it in the face of adversity, right? He made the boneheaded play, the foul on Marcus Morris, which is fitting, by the way, because Marcus Morris was hours ago talking about how he was sort of took him under his wing, and he really appreciated those first 2 seasons and to be part of Jayson Tatum's early career. But then he turns around and he's confident enough to make that big shot after Morris makes the 3 to tie things up. So it's just a great opportunity for someone like Jayson Tatum to not only be one of the guys, one of the top 2 guys alongside Kemba Walker, but that someone like Kemba Walker, a veteran point guard, has a lot of years under his belt, is comfortable enough to sort of get him involved, and not only him, but the rest of his teammates as well.
Yeah, I think last year, I remember we kind of joked about it. The first few games of the season, Tatum had some better games than Kyrie did, and we were joking, like, is this Tatum's team or is this Kyrie's team? Like, obviously tongue-in-cheek, but this year it feels like Tatum is so much more comfortable, so much more aggressive, like you talked about, so much more confident in his game, and he's not thinking so much out there. I don't think he's thinking so much, what are my teammates going to think if I miss this shot, or what if, or he's not too hard on himself, I think. He's just playing the game. He's confident, and his teammates, I think, are feeding into that. So you kind of get that vibe that, like, the step that everyone thought he was going to take last year, like, this is actually the step. It just took an extra season. But to your point on the shots, like, that's just exhibit A. Like, I mean, that's just so, like, this is the Tatum that we should expect to see going forward.
Yeah, I like how you said that he's not thinking as much. That's actually what Jaylen Brown had to say at media day, right from the beginning. What's the difference that you're seeing from Jayson Tatum from, spending time with him over the summer and Team USA? Is like, he's just not thinking. He's just playing. He's just letting the game come to him, and we're seeing evidence of someone who just looks very, confident and ready to
let's go
to put up big games like this throughout the season.
I think a lot of that thinking probably came after the playoffs, where he did kind of plateau, and Jaylen Brown did outperform him throughout the playoff run, and that obviously gets to a young player's head. But now Tatum has kind of seemingly taken all those distractions out of his mind and just really focused on the game, and he seems to have matured both on the court and off the court. But one thing he is doing is he's trying to prove he does have a mid-range game. Through the first couple games of the season,
well, he's been doing that floater thing, right? That's kind of new from him. He didn't do that a lot this first couple of years of his career. So, but it's not.
He's looking more.
At least he's not doing it from,
I think he's just trying to prove to people that always say, like, he needs to develop a mid-range game, like, hey, look, I have one.
I don't know.
I think it's more of a, I'm a finesse kind of player. I can sort of make up my own type of mid-range
do what he wants.
shot.
I mean, even against Milwaukee, like, the shot that he took late in that fourth, like, and then high-fived Pierce. He looked like Pierce on that shot.
He did.
He looked like Pierce Friday night on that shot.
I tweeted that. Did you see that?
Did you tweet that? I probably retweeted it and stole it from you right now. But he did look like
the Paul Pierce bounce, like, as he went back.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think, so long trying to, learn from Kobe, you just got to learn from Pierce, man, because it's working for him.
Today's episode of The Garden Report is brought to you by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Get easy, seasonal recipes and pre-measured ingredients delivered right to your door. All you have to do is cook and enjoy. I use HelloFresh because when I get home from work late and still want a delicious home-cooked meal, it makes it so effortless. HelloFresh makes cooking delicious meals at home a reality, regardless of your comfort in the kitchen. From step-by-step recipes to pre-measured ingredients, you'll have everything you need to get a wow-worthy dinner on the table in just 30 minutes. Say goodbye to endless grocery store trips and takeout food. HelloFresh has you covered. Make deliciousness part of your every week. Break out of your dinner rut with HelloFresh's 20-plus seasonal chef-curated recipes each week. There's something for everyone, from family recipes to calorie smart and vegetarian, and fun menu series like Hall of Fame and craft burgers. HelloFresh has more 5-star recipes than any other meal kit, so you know you'll get something delicious. HelloFresh is flexible and fits your lifestyle. Add extra meals to your weekly order, as well as yummy add-ons like garlic bread and cookie dough. Easily change your delivery days, food preferences, and skip a week whenever you need. For $80 off your first month of HelloFresh, go to HelloFresh.com/CLNS80 and enter CLNS80. That's HelloFresh.com/CLNS80 and enter CLNS80. Believe me, you won't regret it.
Team unity, the Boston Celtics defined early in this 2019-2020 season. Mike Petraglia along with Jimmy Toscano and Josue Pavone.
Welcome back, boys.
What up, fellas?
It's good to be back here on the parquet.
It looks a little different.
You got Jimmy Toscano in the building.
You know,
It's different than I remember, but I like it.
Feels like old times.
It feels like a party, too, after a 104-102 Jayson Tatum first ever game-winning jumper.
Absolutely.
Near the buzzer anyway, with just about
we'll
a second left.
We'll call it.
But the biggest takeaway, I thought, from this game here on Friday night against the rebuilding New York Knicks was the fact that this Celtics team seemed united at the end in the clutch. Last year, it was very apparent that they seemed at a loss at the end of games many, many times. And they all turned to Kyrie. That's not going to be the case this year. We saw it with Kemba Walker. We are obviously seeing it with Jayson Tatum, his first ever game-winning shot. What did you think of the way the Celtics handled themselves after the Marcus Morris game-tying three?
Yeah, I'll take it. I think like when you compare it to last year, it's completely different. I think last year it was like, all right, Kyrie, do your thing. Let's see what you got. And
Close
then,
this out.
and then when he missed it, they were like, see, you don't want to play team ball or whatever. You know what I mean? Something like along those lines. But this year, it feels like the roles are like already almost defined, and they're cool with sharing the ball. They're cool with, hey, you got the open shot, you take it. You got the open shot, you take it. Here, let me pass it to you. Like, it just feels like they're a team already. And I thought the last play of the game was a perfect example of that, because the ball went into Tatum because he was the one that they thought had the best matchup on, and he drained the shot, and Kemba's celebrating like a wild guy. I mean, like that's a team right there.
Yeah, someone like Kemba Walker too. He's always sharing the ball. He's looking for the open guy. He's not afraid to give up an open three-pointer just to get another person involved. I think that's so important for this team, especially a team like this where they're sort of being overlooked as opposed to the Milwaukee Bucks or the Philadelphia 76ers. And it's funny, I got a chance to talk to Shemi Ojale after the game, and Shemi was like, we have a chip on our shoulder because of that. We want to prove to everyone that this isn't a fluke. And of course, he was realistic because he was, of course, a part of that team last season. So he talked about, hey, there's going to be times when we lose 2 in a row or 3 in a row. I'm ready for that. I know what happened last year. We're prepared for that, but we cannot wait to bring these younger guys under our wing and see how this whole thing unfolds, because the tightness and how close this team really is, it's genuine. It's authentic, and that's what he was telling me.
And the most important words, guys, I thought came from Kemba Walker after the game when he said, quote, "We don't have to like each other, but we want to like each other," meaning everybody does want to be on the same page. And look, it's been beaten to death, the whole Kyrie angle and how this team has moved on from Kyrie. But for Kemba Walker to say that after this game, a unifying game, kind of tells you where the Celtics mindset is at in that locker room.
Yeah, and another thing Kemba said, you were there for it, was he talked about how important it was for these guys to get to know each other in the offseason on Team USA. Things didn't go the way they wanted it to go, but Kemba got to, play with Tatum, play with Smart,
Like
play
the
with
one
Brown.
good thing that came out of that.
Yeah, and
Right.
honestly, like if it means that the Celtics go further in the regular season, then I'm sure they'll take that over Team USA. And no knock on Team USA, but they're NBA players. They want to win the championship on the Celtics. So I think that was huge for them. Brad Stevens actually alluded to that in his post-game press conference. He wasn't even asked about it. He brought it up. He said those guys playing together allowed them to come into the season ready to play, ready to go, in shape, and ready to play with each other.
This Garden Report has been brought to you by our terrific exclusive online sportsbook partners, betonline.ag. Go to betonline.ag and use that promo code CLNS50 for your 50% welcome bonus. The final again, the Celtics 104 and the Knicks 102. Inside TD Garden for Josue Pavone and Jimmy Toscano, Mike Petralia, CLNS Media.